a short TLDR of the rant that I've had about protagonists. Well, the summary of my wishes and aspirations for creating protagonists in my stories that I've made in the previous video would probably be something like this. I think that the protagonist of my story should be first and foremost free to succeed, but also free to mess up, tied down and restricted only by the setting, the rules of the universe, not by the story or the characters around him or even me as the writer. And he, or well, eventually maybe I'll try, she should be the one who creates the story, not the other way around. He should have an objective or objectives of his own, not ones that are imposed on him by me, the author, or side characters around him, or some circumstances basically robbing him of any agenda that he would have on his own. These sort of rules that I've set up for myself are definitely a phase. I've already mentioned this before, and it might change at some point in the future, but for now, these are the basic requirements that I have for my protagonist when I'm writing my story for myself. It definitely reflects my current situation and the way I approach stories now when I'm way older than when I first started reading or playing video games or watching TV shows and movies. And since the goal is to create a story that's perfectly tailored to me as the reader, I think that it's a good idea for me to set these up beforehand, recognize them, realize them properly, and acknowledge them, and hopefully even follow them to the very best of my meager abilities. If I am to not waste my time writing, I should at least do my absolute best to achieve and gain from the story what I want. I've touched upon this previously and even in this very video that I would like to at least try once to create a female protagonist, just to test myself and challenge myself if I'm able to even portray a female protagonist while keeping to these rules that I've set for myself, ticking the boxes that I want my protagonists to fulfill while making the female protagonist distinctly female, giving her motivation that is distinctly different from her male counterpart, to not just end up with a dude bro that is supposedly a woman but in reality fits that description only on the outside, and everything on the inside that makes her an actual character remains the same. It is definitely going to be very challenging, bordering on impossible, even though there are many stories with great female characters that I've encountered before. But at the end of the day, what I want to portray is a different world. I don't want to bring what is considered a norm in our world into my stories, and thus portraying a female protagonist that fits all the criteria that I have for male protagonists while keeping her femininity and well-defined personality that wouldn't be just an artificially created opposite of the male protagonist is absolutely going to be something that would require skills that I don't think I have at my disposition, at least not now, and maybe not ever. But I would still like to at least make an attempt and I do think I have an outline of an idea where I would like to take a story with a female protagonist too, but for now I have my hands more than full with my current idea, my current story, which is about two-thirds done, so I have some time to continue thinking and pondering on the idea of a female protagonist in a setting that I would like to create. But that's about it for now. I am going to stop here about protagonists and tackle a few adventures of the Rapid Arrows Club. Last time Speedy wanted to show his art skills and the club members had to use their disguise skills to sneak into the Herald only for him to get thrown out promptly. And now for more adventures. Some of their adventures get submitted to the Herald, and for today they are supposed to experience something interesting. Redcap jokingly suggesting that they could throw Speedy into water, but fortunately for Speedy, Indra Hoyer has an idea when they see a discarded family-sized umbrella. His idea being that they'll use it as a parachute that they'll use to jump down from the side of a sand quarry behind the city. They dub it Flight by Itself, and Indra is going to fly first. His flight goes without any issues, and he even describes it as falling down for an eternity and then landing in a pile of feathers. So now it's Speedy's time, and he decides to do something that we've already seen and rather badly. He decides to run to give himself a boost so that he flies further. Already during the flight, it's clear that not all's going according to the plan. The rest of the club members are already able to foresee the disaster, and it strikes exactly as everyone expected, leaving the flight by itself in ruins and Speedy fortunately only slightly shaken. And thus ends the story of the flight by itself only after one successful attempt, with a grave and a memoir which promises for it to never be forgotten by the club members. Next one we see Indra during a breakfast facing his father reading a newspaper with a story about someone trying to sabotage a train track already multiple times. So when he repeats the story in the club room, the Rapid Arrows decides to guard the track so that no accident happens. For 2 weeks they watch over the track with no luck so far, but then they finally see someone approaching with a large log, someone who Yarka recognizes as an insane person who's everyone afraid of. Then they have plenty of time to observe the man's actions since the next train won't come for a while, and they watch him build an obstacle from stones and the log that he carried himself in an attempt to derail the train. Three of the boys tackle the man while the rest dismantles the barrier, and when the train finally safely passes by, they report the incident to the authorities and earn themselves a fully paid 100 kilometers long tour via the now safe trains. Next one, it's Mikuláš. That's a holiday in my country, and some others called in English Saint Nicholas Day, which happens in December with people in costumes of the Saint Nicholas, angel, and the devil make rounds and punish or reward small children depending on how good they were during the year, with either coal for the disobedient or little presents, sweets for the good ones. And Yarka has an idea that they'll borrow the costumes from his aunt and do the rounds as the trio, which usually ends up earning the caroler some change. They suit up, two devils, two angels, and Nicholas as Mirek, and it's time to visit some children. They get invited by a father of a young, rather rough boy who really is not having any of the usual Saint Nicholas's routine, has absolutely no fear of the devil. He demands the sweets with no room for discussion, even his mother admitting that he might be slightly brazen. An attempt of one of the devils to scare him just sends him into a frenzy where he attacks the devil in question, breaking a window and knocking down a fish bowl. Then he turns his wrath towards one of the angels, Speedy, promising to ruffle his feathers, knocking down a vase, and causing all sorts of destruction, resulting in the parents chasing out the rapid arrows, lamenting not how insanely unhinged their son is, but the insane illusion that the boys might be the ones who would actually ruin and twist their precious little child. And that's how Mikuláš ends for the Rapid Arrows Club in a rather unfortunate way. And this is where I'm going to stop for today. And next time, more protagonists, more Rapid Arrows.